Cheers, everybody, and welcome to another video. In today's video, we're going to talk about action. Action always beats intelligence. And this is something that when I was growing up, I grew up in a family that really valued intelligence. And that was evident in what they valued, what they spoke about, the way that they spoke. My grandfather was an extremely intelligent man. He was a professor at Indiana University, and he was so well read and so well versed in history and all these different topics that President Carter actually had him come to visit to advise him on something that was going on in the Middle East at the time. I'm not exactly completely sure of exactly what this was, but I saw this when I was growing up, a kid of my grandfather sitting there with President Carter, and the value that they instilled in my mother. See, she went to Stanford and she was getting her PhD. Unfortunately, she never turned in her dissertation. But she was like a 4.0 student or even above 4.0, something insane, right? My aunt went to Harvard, my mom went to Stanford. And so, when I was a kid, I was also put into gifted classes, and I was, by all accounts, I won this writing contest in middle school. I was very gifted in, I suppose you could call it gifted in terms of, the more creative type of work, right? Like my mom put me into theater, so I was an actor, and then I was in a commercial for Sears when I was young. And that this is a different story, but that kind of got put on pause, like all the acting and all the theater due to other circumstances. But the point remained that I was always taught about the value of intelligence, the value of being well-read, the value of education, right? And my father and his family, they also valued all of this as well. But it wasn't until later on in life that I actually met people and came across people through going to bigger cities that were not educated in the traditional sense or by any sort of measure of book smarts or something to do with getting a good grade on a test, right? I kind of intuitively understood this as I was growing up, that a lot of the times the people that score really well on these tests, they may be actually lacking in understanding other really valuable skills like person-to-person communication, how to be well liked, how to influence somebody. And that's Harvey barking in the background. And there seemed to be, as I grew up, this kind of inverse relationship between the two that I noticed. It's like, okay, and a lot of the times, the people that were the most intelligent seemed to be the ones that played the most mental games with themselves. My grandfather he wrote this book about history, and to the day that he passed, he never put it out. And so my grandmother actually had to publish his book posthumously, and now it is available, it's published, but he never published it because he prolonged he always wanted to make it better. He always wanted to make these improvements. It was never good enough. Like I said, I mentioned earlier, my mom never published or turned in her dissertation. All these professors at Stanford were always telling her, Layla, why don't you turn in your paper? Why don't you turn it in? It's great. It's amazing. It's so much better than all these other people. She would sit down and talk to these people, and they would always tell her that this is far above and beyond what her peers were turning in, but she still never turned it in. So, like I said, once I left my town, once I left my city, I started getting around mainly guys that were, like I said, they didn't even, some of these guys hadn't gone or graduated from college or whatever, but they had this other strength, which seemed to be lacking in all these people that I'm talking about that are very, very intelligent, right? And it seems to me that the more intelligent that you are, the more that you kind of fall in prone to some of these mental traps. For instance, the idea of perfectionism, that it has to be a certain way, that you're very much, you have this high level that you want to standard of things, and so therefore you're unwilling to actually take the leap and then run into a failure. You don't want to look bad in front of other people. Whereas these people that didn't go to school, these people that actually weren't as quote intelligent, were out in the field. Like, for example, I have a friend, he never went to school, but he did a mission, and his family was Mormon, but he learned sales. He learned the art of persuasion from his mission, from all things. His father was a salesman. And so he had this kind of sensibility. He grew up in this household where his dad was always selling stuff, and his dad was a smooth communicator. And so he had this other sense about him, and I actually went with him and learned sales from this friend of mine. And the amount of action that he takes, the amount of action that he took, and the fact that he was earning more money than many people that are graduating college. And to this day, he still earns more money than them. He's also able to get what he wants out of life more so than many of these people that are intelligent and educated and all of this. And the point of this video is that consistency breeds success. When you are doing something and you have this long-term vision, Maxwell Maltz talks about this too, that failure is the way to success. You have to fail your way to success. There is nobody in entrepreneurship. There is nobody that is in business or that is successful in any, in athletes, in the athletic world. There's nobody that's getting these tangible, outsized results that is not kind of walking through the fire, that is not facing the failures along the way, that is not facing the rejections. The guy that's going up and getting the outcome that he wants when he's talking to the women that he wants is the one that handles the rejections in stride, or he doesn't even remember the rejections. Whereas the more intelligent guy is the guy that hones in and focuses on the rejection, and therefore he's not willing. He thinks, oh, this isn't meant for me, or oh, I'm not good at this. And it could be any skill because he doesn't have the immediate success. Whereas the guy that is just doing the thing, the person that immerses themselves in the process and understands that brick by brick, you're going to build a house. It's not going to be built overnight. That when you're growing, sometimes the roots in the ground, they grow and it's not visible. The progress isn't visible yet, but the roots are growing and they're laying a foundation for that growth. And eventually this tree is going to sprout and it's going to be a big, powerful tree because you've done the work. You've done that consistency that breeds that success. So what I'm saying is here on this channel, for example, I realize that I have this kind of predisposition because of my family, because of the way that I was brought up, that I tend to lean into that kind of perfectionist way of doing things, the same way that my mother and my grandfather were. So that's why I've consciously done it. I've consciously made this intention that I shoot these videos on my phone. I put the least amount of friction possible for me to just put out the content and for me to get things done. Even when it came to my music or this book that I'm working on that is almost done. If you're interested, you can click the link in the description and you'll be notified as soon as it is available. I have that tendency to err in that side of, okay, I need to keep working. I need to keep tweaking it. So I've consciously put these systems in place, for example, filming here, and I'm putting out these videos every single day, because I know that if I become one of those people that's like, okay, I'm going to do this video and I'm going to edit it and I'm going to release a video a week, or then that's going to turn into one video a month. Then that's going to turn into a couple videos a year or something, or I'm just not going to make them because I know that I'm like that. So if you find yourself in a similar situation as me, or if you find yourself in a place where you have that paralysis by analysis, you're overthinking stuff, or you came from that way of thinking, you came from that kind of mindset, because those are the people that you grew up around or what have you, you got to realize at a certain point that consistency is what breeds success. And the quicker that you can become consistent with something, with all of its imperfections, with all of the quote unquote failures, with all of the quote rejections that you face, the faster that you're going to achieve that goal. If my grandfather would have published that book, maybe he would have came out with many books, right? The person that's waiting their entire life to publish one book, now the world only gets to receive one thing that they came out with, if that, right? Like if my grandmother hadn't published that book after he past, then the world wouldn't have even been able to get. So you're depriving the world from your gifts by thinking in this manner. It has to be this certain way, and by not acting, by not doing the thing. That's why I'm such a proponent of massive action, because I know my own tendencies, and I know that a lot of people that get caught up, that are attracted to this kind of manifestation, mindset, spiritual work, they tend to be like this as well. They want to theorize. They want to sit back in the armchair and theorize about life. They want to sit in the Reddit echo chambers and pontificate and be these keyboard jockeys. And I'm not talking shit really, because I like I said, I used to be the same type of way. Not necessarily when it comes to this. I do like to theorize about things. I do have that intellectual aspect to my personality that wants to understand things. But I've also made this conscious decision that I need to become an action taker. And you need balance in life. You know, sometimes you see those people that take action, but they don't study anything, right? They don't try to learn anything. They just rely. They kind of rest on their laurels, right? You might have you probably come across people like this in your life. Maybe they're naturally talented, naturally charismatic, and so they end up relying on that skill, but then they end up becoming charlatans because they don't actually have any value to back that up. My friend that I'm talking about, he's a mix. He grew up in that household where he had this charismatic father, and he absorbed these kinds of ways of being. Communication skills. He's phenomenal at sales, but he also studies. He also reads books. And that's the balance. When we talk about these two extremes, neither polarity is going to be the answer. The intellectual armchair who theorizes about everything without doing the thing, without embodying it, is forever going to be sitting on the sidelines of life. And on the other side, the person that relies on their innate talents and skills, you could even think that this person, they're kind of more similar than they are different, because this person could also be like, I'm going to rely on my intelligence. I'm gifted. I deserve all this because I'm so smart and so special, without taking the action. You're not backing it up with the action. The world rewards those who takes action. Life rewards those who take action. It rewards you for your action, not for your intelligence. So the other side, the person that's just, smooth talking, whatever, and doesn't have anything to back it up, doesn't have any substance underneath it, is forever going to be that kind of empty kind of, I guess you could say, smooth talker, empty kind of charmer, but he doesn't have anything there. There's nothing underneath it. There's no value to be had. The person that learns both things, that studies, that takes their destiny into their own hands, that writes, that creates, and then iterates again and again and again, improving and showing your work, showing up every day to do the thing, to be that version of yourself, is the person that embraces that generative energy and shares it with the world, and then takes the feedback that they give them to improve and to make it better and better and better. And that's the process that I want to share with you, that is, so valuable, because again, when you go throughout life, you realize, you see these different types of people. It's important to notice what works, what actually works in life and what actually doesn't work. Because you can have all the ideas and all the theory about life that you want, but until you apply it, and that's the beauty of this. You learn this stuff. You can watch these videos about mindset work, about psychology. You watch videos about self-help, diet, self-improvement, manifestation, and then you apply it. You apply it. You don't just sit there and hope and wait in this yin energy all the time. Oh, I hope it happens. I should be given this shot. They should give me the chance. Nobody's coming to give you the chance. Nobody's coming to say that you have to give yourself the chance. You have to be your own hero in your own story. You have to go and venture outside of the protection, the castle. Even Buddha, if you study manifestation, you study spiritualism, Buddha left the castle. He left the comforts of the castle to go out and figure shit out. He went out and starved himself, and he took action to become the Buddha. Siddhartha would have never become the Buddha, and we would never have had any of those stories or any of that tradition if he had not ventured outside of his comfort. It's about leaving your comfort zone. It's about making friends with the discomfort, making friends with that state where you are uncertain. Life lives at the edge of your life begins at the edge of your comfort zone, not within the comfort. Anyways, guys, I wanted to drop this video, share these insights with you guys. I hope that they resonate. I hope that you take something from this, because again, the person that is building brick by brick by brick every single day is going to be the person that eventually has the house, not the person that's waiting for the right material, not the person that wants to make sure it's the right stone, not the person that's doing all the research and sitting back and hanging back on the sidelines of life, waiting while everybody else that's in the ring, that's on the field, is the one getting all the rewards and all the glory. That being said, guys, much love as always. Drop this video with a like. Hit me with a subscribe if you've not done so already. Let me know any topics down below that you'd be interested in me covering soon in upcoming videos, and I will see you guys in the next video.